Welcome to my week 5 video. I'll be taking you through the scenario given. So firstly, we want to start off by creating a new email address column for the bowlers. Verify that you have a recent backup of your bowling database or take a new one. So we want to firstly start off by that. So we want to back this up firstly. So once that is backed up, it says that we need to write a SQL alter table statement to add a email address column. So as we can see, we've added a statement that will add a email field to the bowlers table. So I want to execute that and just show you that it was added already. So the email field was added, and then we want to write an update statement to simulate the email addresses for each customer using their first name plus last name and the gmail.com. So we need to concatenate the two. So this is what I've done. I've done the update statement on the bowlers table, and this was on the email column. I've done a concat statement, which I've added the bowler's first name, last name, and the @gmail.com. So when we run that, it should then display on the email section under that format. Okay, so we've done that. So we move on to step 2. It says here, create a new login for a junior employee. Name it Bob the scorekeeper and use a password of your choice. So I've already created a login, and the login is Bob the scorekeeper. And then it says here, create a view that displays all other information in the bowlers table except for street name, street address, phone number, and email for each bowler. The view must be created using the same schema name as the bowling table. Grant access to the view to the new user in step 1. So what I've done is, I've created the view. Once I've run this, and I go, before we do that, we need to give Bob the scorekeeper permission. So I've given Bob the scorekeeper permission to the bowling database, as we can see, and I've granted the user the alter permission, which will then allow Bob the scorekeeper access to the view table that I'm about to create. So after adding my statement, this will then create a view. And for us to have a look at this, we need to log in as Bob the scorekeeper. So I just want to disconnect. So I want to connect as Bob. I just want to add this password. So once we connected as Bob, we'll go to the database, the Bowling League database under views, and we should see the bowling table under the view section. So we had to show if the view is working with the new database. And then we move on to step 3. It says your new programmer needs a bit more access than Bob the scorekeeper. Create her a login called Carol the programmer with a password of your choice. Carol needs to be able to see all the columns, but not the actual data. To solve this, you should implement a column level encryption on the street address, phone number, email address columns. Grant Carol the ability to select and insert into the bowlers table. So firstly, we're going to do the encryption on the table. So we're going to disconnect Bob, and then we're going to go to the bowling table. Bowling table, and we're going to encrypt the columns mentioned. So we shouldn't see street address, phone number and email, phone number and email. So those are the columns we want to encrypt. So the type we will be choosing for encryption is, okay, no, these are the ones that we shouldn't tick. The ones that we should be ticking is email, phone number, and the address. So we want to randomize this encryption. So there's no pattern. And then we go next, 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 next. Finish this up. So the encryption is completed. So we're going to close this section. And then we want to log in as Carol to see if it worked. But before we do that, it states that we need to give grant Carol the ability to select and insert on the bowlers table. So we're going to go to Carol as a user. And once we logged in here, we want to give Carol the option to select and insert on the column, on the tables. Okay. Okay, so we've granted Carol that permissions, and now we want to log in as Carol to see if it's going to work. So we will connect as Carol. After connecting, we want to firstly view the tables and the bolus table. So when we run the command to select everything, we can see that the encryption is on the bolus address, the phone number and email. And then under view, we want to see the same thing. We want to see the polling table or the view that we've created. That's the end of number 3. So it says we need to repeat your save scripts from step 1 to 3 in your Bowling database on the cloud class server. You should have copied this database last week. Create the same logins from step 1 to 3 on the class cloud, but this time add your last name after Bob and Carol. Create the names of these logins and their passwords to a running. Give the names of these logins and the passwords to a running buddy. You, in turn, should have received logins from other students. So we want to see the connections to your classmates database. Okay, let's have a look. Okay, so it wanted us to resume from step 4, and we had to repeat our steps from 1 to 3 in the Bowling database, but this time on the cloud class server. And then we need to create the same logins from step 1 to 3. And then we need to add our last names to Bob and Carol. Give the names of these logins and their password to the running buddy. Which shows that we need to show your connection to your classmates on the database, and when you were able to see and do when logged in as each account. So I have created my users on the class server or database, and the system is just a bit slow. Okay, so that will be my video for week 5. Thank you.